Rockstar dream date. Gone wrong. Every girl's fantasy, every rocker girl, that is a dream date with a real rock star. Champagne, a walk along the beach, and then, best of all, the ultimate, Rockstar sex. Yes, this is every girl's dream, but it doesn't always turn out that way. Case in point. I know a story of a girl who reached out to a famous rock star on Facebook, and lo and behold, the famous rock star texted her back. Unreal. They chatted back and forth for a while, exchanged the pleasantries, and then the rock star asked, would she like to come over and he would buy her dinner? Would she? She would walk over hot coals for the chance, which she eventually did. So the night arrived. She had done herself up, all the bells and whistles. She jumped in her car and she headed over to the valley for Rockstar Dream Date. She goes up to the door, rings the bell, and this disheveled old dude answered the door. What's going on here? Who's this guy? This wasn't the rock star. I mean, it sort of looked like him. This wasn't the guy that sold millions of records. This wasn't the guy on her MTV. Guy looked like a fucking house painter. I mean, was this a hoax? Was she getting punked? Was Ashton Kutcher going to jump out any minute and say this is all a big joke? He invites her in. Oh, yeah, dinner, right. And so he excuses himself into the other room. And she's still standing there, kind of silent, doesn't know what to do. And then this older woman walks in. Sorry, dear, I'm just looking for my reading glasses. And the girl asks her, do you live here? Well, yes, she said. This is my house. Wait. This famous rock star lives with his mother? Rockstar Dream Date, Steerike 1. So the guy enters with a new dirty shirt on. Two of them walked out the door and go to his car, and mother is standing at the door and waving like driving Miss Daisy. This is fucking surreal. So they get in the rock star's car and they're driving silently down the road. And do you know where they went? Can you guess? The Palm in Hollywood for lobster? Dantana's on Santa Monica for $100 steak filet mignon? No. Believe it or not, Rockstar turns into the fucking drive-thru for Del Taco. Del Taco! And yes, in case you're wondering, this is a true story. My wife and I have this running joke that if I ever take her to Del Taco, she'll divorce me. Rockstar drove back to his house. Oh, wait, mother's house. They walk in and famous platinum rockstar plopped down on the sofa with his dirty shirt and his handful of tacos and starts drinking heavily. The girl sat silent. This was not supposed to be happening. Where's the Dom Perignon, man? Where's the walk on the beach? He didn't even get me Sizzler. Now, you ask, could things get any worse? Well, let me tell you. During the course of their meal, famous rock star just lets it slip out in conversation that he was, wait for it, impotent. He just said it. Matter of fact, please pass the hot sauce and oh, by the way, I can't get it up. Rockstar Dream Date, Steerike 2. I mean, the girl was crushed. She had brought a dozen condoms for the occasion. Ribbed, of course, for her pleasure. And now they were useless. Just rubber balloons, just a facade. Anyway, so famous rock star drank about 7 beers in that first hour. And then, slowly sort of slunk down into the couch and passed out. So the mother comes in with a blanket and covers him up. Sorry, she said. He does this all the time. So the girl thinks, well, maybe I should leave. Oh, no, I wouldn't have it. You're my guest. We'll just put you in the guest room for the night. Rockstar Dream Date, Steerike 3, you're out! She was woken up the next morning by someone on the other side of the door pushing a paper note under the door. It was famous rock star apologizing for last night, and, maybe they could do it again soon. There's a moral to this, ladies. Sometimes illusions are stronger than truth. Be careful what you wish for. You might just get it. Which brings me to another story. This one is about a famous rock star crackhead who was touring the U.S. on a tour bus with his band, not crackheads, when their bus broke down in the middle of nowhere. These things happen, so the bus company hurriedly sent out another bus, and the band and Crackhead had to gather up all their belongings and switch to the other bus. Okay, so a few days later, the band's tour manager got a call from the bus company. "You owe us $150 for a broken water faucet." "That's ridiculous," the guy said. "We got our bus back from you guys, and one of the water faucet handles in the bus bathroom is missing." Later on, the tour manager knocked on the door of the back lounge where Crackhead lived and slept, and there he was, smoking crack, or attempting to anyway. He was red in the face, huffing and puffing. "Can you help me?" the guy said. This pipe is clogged." And he handed the tour manager a pipe that was red hot. So hot, in fact, that the tour manager dropped the pipe on the carpet. So he picks it up and realized very quickly that the pipe was not a pipe. It was the missing water faucet handle that sort of looked like a pipe, but when you looked at it up close, it had no hole to inhale out of and no bowl to smoke out of. In his delirium, Crackhead had been burning his face and hands trying to suck crack out of a solid piece of metal. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, but on the positive side, at least they had solved the mystery of the missing handle. Okay, so I have been asked many times over the years, why don't you get the original Love Hate guys back together? You made such good music together. Yes, we did. A lot of good music was created and recorded. Because of that, that music will live forever. Now, as for trying to get the band back together, please note that I have tried this many times over the years. Many times with always the same result. Kaboom! I once took two of the original guys with me for a short UK tour in 2007, and this happened. I did a short tour opening up for Dio in 1998, and this happened. It seems no matter your good intentions, you just can't recreate 1990 anymore. Musically, spiritually, or emotionally, you just can't do it. And therein hangs this tale. So one time, I tried to put a love-hate tour together. It was myself, the drummer, and the guitar player. This tour was going to be based around the Kansas City area and somewhat facilitated by our good buddy Johnny Dare. Now, he was, and still is, a successful morning radio guy. Disc jockey, right? Do they even say that anymore? There are no discs. No more discs, hence no more disc jockeys. We were planning a 3-show weekend, and the whole band was going to stay at Johnny Dare's house, and we would sort of base the whole tour out of that. So the first show went great. The first show always goes great. It starts like that. Positive energy, a lot of love in the air. But sure as shit, that love slowly turns to hate. See what I did there? So we're in Kansas City at Johnny Dare's house, in his living room, just watching TV, hanging out. I had a date over for the evening, and we were sort of drinking heavily. It got late, so we excused ourselves to the guest room and bid everyone a fair good night. At that time, Johnny's guest room was really just an office, so accommodations were sort of slim. Actually, 2 people in a sleeping bag. At around 1 a.m, there's a knock at the front door. It was the cops. They had shown up because the young lady's car parked in front of the house apparently had stolen license plates. Wow, who knew? In came the cops with their loud voices and their flashlights. We emerged from our sleeping bag, disheveled and bleary. Woo, ah, woo, ah, ah, ah. They began to question the girl, and she gave them a fake name. Of course she did. This was turning out like an episode of Cops. More words exchanged, and then I ended up waving goodbye to her as she was pulled out of the house, handcuffed, kicking and screaming. Thanks again, alcohol. Anyway, so Johnny is just sitting there. F***ing Jizzo, it's f***ing Jizzo. That's right. So we both laughed about it, and then we went back to bed. A few hours later, the guitar player came back to the house. He'd been out all night. Johnny Dare had already left for work, mind you. He was already on the radio doing his show live. Now, apparently, or allegedly, Johnny had told the guitar player that he was going to dedicate a song live on the air to the guitar player's wife. So when the guitar player got home, he went to the living room and he turned up the radio really loud, to hear the dedication. The drummer's wife, awakened suddenly by the noise, she came out of the other bedroom and asked, "Please, could you turn down the radio? People are sleeping," which ignited some kind of argument. The drummer, now also woken up from the noise, came out, and now it's the three of them arguing loudly at 6 a.m. The arguing soon turned physical, and then the two guys started throwing punches at each other and rolling around on the floor. This was when I was sort of woken up. Shit crashing, glass breaking, the wife is crying, mass hysteria. Then Johnny Dare's dog jumps into the fray. While they are on the floor tussling around, the dog started to viciously bite the drummer's legs. The dog is mauling the drummer. He's mauling him. The drummer starts screaming, "Get this fucking dog off of me!" The wife is screaming, the dog is going Cujo, and all of a sudden, I'm hearing pounding on this guest room door from the drummer's wife saying, "Jizzo, this is all your fault." Notice how everything is always the singer's fault? So I finally get up out of this sleeping bag. I open the door to a scene right out of Apocalypse Now. The drummer's legs are covered in dog bites and bleeding profusely. The wife is hysterical. The guitar player is pacing back and forth in the living room. "I'm going to quit this fucking band. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of this shit." And unbeknownst to me, the bass player of the band, why, I don't know, but he had panicked and in the heat of the moment had called the police. And what had to have been the quickest response time in human history, a bunch of police entered the house now. And there's weed everywhere. Weed was still a felony back then, people. So I'm kicking burnt joints under the couch. I'm fast talking. I'm tap dancing like Sammy at the Copa. The cops saw the drummer's bloody legs and right off called animal control, and they took Johnny's dog away for the rabies quarantine. Doggy jail. So in the space of about 5 minutes, the drummer and his wife went to the hospital. The dog went to jail. The guitar player and the bass player went to the airport, quitting the band. And it was weird. All of a sudden, it's totally quiet. The house is empty. I am alone, surrounded by all this carnage. Oh, wait, I forgot the best part. The whole time all this is going on, Johnny Dare's voice is still blaring through the stereo. His radio show is still playing. He's still talking. He's like a disembodied spirit, clueless, unaware that his whole world had been shattered by his good buddies in love-hate. So as things started to calm down and my adrenaline started to go down, that's when the tsunami-sized hangover from the red wine came over me. The pounding in my head. The red wine and the nonsense and the anger and the shock all came gurgling back up with a vengeance. And I just sort of crumpled on the floor, shivering with a wet towel over my head, trying to make it all go away. Someone finally told Johnny Dare on the air what had happened to his house. So he freaks out. He races home to find the scorched ruins of what had once been a pretty good life. He sees me there on the floor amongst all the broken glass and the broken promises of togetherness and the unity. I peeked out from under my wet towel. I looked at him and I said, "You know what, dude? Someday you're going to laugh about all this." And I was right. We did laugh. We have laughed over the years. Just another day in the life of a rock band when things go wrong. Sometimes you just can't put Humpty Dumpty back together. You can't. You can't fix f***ed up. You just can't. So, you know what you do? You remember all the good music, and that part is magical. You think about what you've created, and you try not to think about all the f***ed up things it took to get there. It's your old pal Jizzo, rockin' and rollin'. We'll see you next time.